Every week, John.
Every week.
You'd think we'd be used to it by this stage.
No, I come up with something random. Next week, you're going to get one of my characters. Anyway, hi, everybody. We're back. It is the StatrCast. You'll notice it's just myself and Gary this week. Jimmy is very, how would I say, balls deep in development work.
Yeah.
And Dean is
on the plus side, though, it's like Dad not being here, so we can say whatever the fuck we like. Well, within reason.
Within reason. As long as we don't say anything that puts a certain team down. Although, I will say this. Our top 10s last week got people talking. The Liverpool fans are not my friends right now. There is a particular group that do not like you very much either. But the Liverpool fans did not appreciate my take on Steven Gerrard. They were like, one of the comments was, does that mean Henderson is better than Bruno Fernandes? I was like, well, it means he's one more. So,
well, to be fair, we were talking about this over the weekend after Liverpool beat Fulham. Yeah, sorry, had to get that dig in. Yeah, I know. I'll get that dig in any which way I can. But it was mentioned on commentary that like Mo Salah has now broken Wayne Rooney's goal and assists combined record in the Premier League, and he's done it like with 171 games less. And your whole thing what Rooney doing that was, he's done it in less games than so many other players. He's done it in less games than Giggs.
We still like Salah. We
do, but it kind of throws your argument for Rooney number one into
everybody's argument. But this is what opinion is about. So we're getting a bit away from opinion again today. Well, there's going to be a bit of opinion, but we have data again, because at the end of the day, we are a fantasy football podcast. And sometimes when there's internationals and FA Cups, we have to find things to fill the gaps with. But the Premier League was back, and I don't want this to become a show about North London football teams, but it's looking like we fucking have to. So the topics tonight are, obviously there's a new manager in situ at Spurs. Last time we recorded, he was mooted. He's since taken over, had his first game, lost his first game. And then obviously everything, how could we not talk about what's happening at Arsenal? Because it's funny. It's funny as fuck.
It's fun to watch. It is fun to watch. And I've been there as a Liverpool fan, so it is fun to watch from the outside.
It's fun to watch. And then obviously we're in the run-in. We're deep in the run-in. So we have a deep preview on the Gameweek 33. It's one of two double game weeks from here to the end of the year. And then obviously week 34 is a blank. So we'll get into that one more next week. But obviously week 33 is a double. So we're going to have a good look at like assets and players and matchups and stuff. But I suppose, I think we have to start from the bottom.
Look, I think we have, yeah, very aptly said, John. I think so. And look, I think over the last couple of weeks we've been kind of feeling a little bit of slack on on Instagram and TikTok and whatnot, and a few other, there's been a little bit of back and forth, different opinions about what's going on with Spurs. Let me be clear with everybody out there and everybody in here. I'm sick of actually hearing about the excuses at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really, really am. This is not a dip in form, and this is not some sort of conspiracy against them. Whatever anyone thinks, it's not. This is a full-blown collapse.
Yep.
This is straight up a collapse of a team that were in the Champions League final back in 2019, I think it was.
Yep.
And now they're like 2 years on the trot fighting relegation, right?
What was the line that Jose Mourinho gave when he was over Manchester United? It was like, this is football heritage. This is football heritage. It is. You can't be 16th and 18th 2 years on the trot. You've staved off relegation. Granted, they won something last year, and I will still give massive. How do you sack the manager who wins your Europa League trophy? Look, I know last year they had to sack off the league, and then they sacked it. But anyway, Gary, you have a big piece here. So
no. But like you're right. I mean, you're 100% right. It says in their stadium, and it's said in White Hart Lane. There's a big banner up there, and it's been there for years, and it says the game is about glory. And Ange Postecoglou brought glory to that team last year and got fired for it. So as far as I'm concerned, they deserve everything they get, right? They absolutely deserve everything they get. But let's look at what they actually are doing right now. We're talking they've had 1 point from their last 8 games. And that was at Liverpool away.
Yeah.
And that was a last minute or close to a last minute equaliser. So it's not bad luck, right? That's a team that can't win a game, can't buy a win. They've completely lost their identity. There's 14 games without a win. You've got to go back to 1935 for that to happen. Like pre-World War II.
Yeah.
Like this is not... There's no grey area here, lads. There's none. This is black and white. You're full-blown crisis mode here. Right? You're talking their points to games ratio is less than 1. Right? That's proper old school, pack your bag, see you in the championship next season. That's what that is.
Yeah.
2 home wins all season. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's a tourist attraction.
Yep.
It's not a football stadium anymore. We spoke about this not last week, but the week before. The club has turned themselves into a tourist attraction. Clubs are turning up there, not hoping to get points. They're expecting to get points. Players, fans, coaches, etc. are talking about the project. Forget the project.
Yeah.
Forget it. Go win a football match. Go get 3 points and keep yourself in the top level. Then talk about the project. But no, this is what they're gonna, right? But
like, and for me, it was this thing of, and it's a wild stat when you think about it. A team like Tottenham Hotspurs, right? We're at mid-April now. They have not won a game in 2026.
mental.
We're halfway through the 4th month of the year. It's beggars belief for a team that you'd expect to be in the traditional top 6. A team that should be fighting for Europa League. A team that should be at least fighting for Europa League. At the very
I
least.
tipped them for a top 5 finish this year. Remember at the start of the season we were all looking for our hot takes? I said that they would finish 5th.
Yep.
And I am falling on my sword right now. I know last season I said that City would finish 4th or outside of the Champions League, and I was close with that, but that was looking back now, me saying Spurs will finish 5th was ridiculous.
Yep.
Absolutely ridiculous. Like, no, as you said, like they're 18th, no wins in 2026 at all. Like, we all laugh and joke about how Spurs kind of bottle it and, doing the whole Spurs thing. No, this is full-on catastrophe.
It's on fire there now.
It's on fire, but there's nobody willing to put the fire out. Like,
I don't think this is something we spoke about. This, like, I feel like we're going over old ground here a bit, but like, who's in charge?
Yeah.
Like, it's a case of who's in charge. Like, I think the hiring De Zerbi is a good move. I think he's a brilliant manager. I think if there's a type of manager who can get them out of trouble, it will be him. I still do think they'll be safe. And I don't know why, other than...
I don't think they will.
Their next game is Brighton. Brighton are on massive form, but De Zerbi going to his old club, it's one of those written in the stars type things. They've got Wolves after that, and then Villa and Leeds. So, like, Villa are in free fall. They're still in European football, I think. Leeds is a 6-pointer. I think teams down there, they get 6 points between now and the end of the season, are probably safe. I think West Ham are fine. I think it's between themselves, Forest and Leeds, and do you know what it is for me? It's the narrative. It's the narrative of the football gods punishing Mr. Americanist for his nonsense. Is why I feel that Forest are going to be the ones that do fall to the wayside, and it's only for narrative purposes. Because everything I'm looking at, everything I watch, every Spurs game I watch just screams, we're in trouble. And did you see the goal they conceded over the weekend? Like, Romero's out for the rest of the season from something that looked innocuous. And the goal they conceded, that is one of those ones that shot gets taken 100 more times, and only a team that's in as bad a position as Spurs are in right now concede that. Because it bounces off the back of Van de Ven's heel and goes the other direction and upends the keeper. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. They weren't creating. They had 3 strikers on the pitch, no creators. The squad's... And again, we've said this. Their squad is full of Prosecco footballers and no pintmen. Like, Conor Gallagher is the closest thing in their midfield right now, is someone who's going to get their hands dirty and get stuck in. And you know what's bad when Joe Pellegrini goes from Bayern to Spurs and says, "Do you know what, lads? Don't make this loan permanent in the summer, and I want to go back to Fulham." Like, this is actually what has happened. He wants to go back to Fulham in the summer.
Look, it's a club that it's a club that has no identity, no direction, no nothing, and no leaders on the pitch. Like, okay, there's probably more to what happened. There's probably more to Romero's reaction than him just getting injured and leaving the pitch. He was in tears leaving the pitch. He's probably worried about not making the World Cup.
Yeah.
Fine. I can kind of half get that. Van de Ven was in tears at the end of the game after losing. I mean, these are the players you're expecting to step up and fight for the cause and keep your team in the league. And yet they're standing around crying after. Now, I mean, look, I've no issue with anyone showing emotion. That's not the issue here.
But it's the wrong. Crying about it. Why didn't you fight?
Show it. Like, there has to be a bit. there has to be a bit of fight shown. And
Yeah.
there was nothing shown yesterday. None at all.
No, it's really depressing.
And look, when that happens, I disagree with you. I think Spurs are cooked now. I think they're done. I think, and actually, the game tonight between United and Leeds has a big impact, because if Leeds win tonight, Wolves are all but relegated.
Yes,
and they could be relegated by the time Spurs and Wolves rocks around in 2 or 3 weeks' time, which could potentially play in Spurs' favour. If Wolves are fighting for their lives, and to be fair, they've probably shown more fight outside of the game against West Ham at the weekend. They've probably shown more fight than Spurs. But at the end of the day, if you've got a team where your perceived leaders in that team, their heads are dropping, and everyone else's heads are dropping around, that's a bad situation to be in going into a relegation battle. Yep. You need to have confidence. You need to be able to get stuck in the weeds and get yourself out. And I can't see anyone at Tottenham doing that right now. Do you know, I mean, you're saying there the goal at the weekend was, 99 times out of 100, that doesn't get scored. I'd say 99 times out of 100, a defender with confidence blocks that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like
this is what I'm saying. Only a team in that kind of position that goes in against.
Yeah, and I don't think that's down to luck. I think that's down to mentality and low confidence.
Yeah,
and that comes, as we've said, that comes from the top down. That starts from the top down.
Like, I think Burnley would concede that goal, but again, I would expect that to be blocked. I don't know. Like, I do like De Zerbi. I think they do have players like Romero missing for the rest of the season is a huge blow.
It's huge.
I think there was 2 elements to him crying coming off. One, that this injury, the reports are it's ligament damage to the knee. 5 to 8 weeks. So if it's on the latter end of it, he is cutting it very, very, very finely for the World Cup squad. So if there's any relapse, if the scan shows up anything else, but as it stands, it's a 5 to 8 week injury. So he's touching cloth for the World Cup. But it also means that as the club captain, there's nothing he can do now to help. And that's horrible. And I think he's the one leader that they actually have in the dressing room. He's called out the club publicly, because imagine being that kind of player that you have to call out your own club publicly to get a response and a reaction to try get something moving, and then it falls on deaf ears.
Yeah, which is mad. Like, I mean, and that just proves the point that this is not just a football pitch issue with Spurs now. This is rotting from the top down type stuff going on.
Like, I'm not a fan of Liam Rosenior. I think he's the LinkedIn manager. I think he's a middle manager for a middle management type club, which is exactly what Chelsea are these days. But even he had the stones to suspend Enzo after running his mouth about Real Madrid. Now, also on that one, probably should have suspended Cucurella based on the same logic. So Chelsea's in a happy camp. But we're not here talking about Chelsea. But he at least had the cojones and the stones at the time. Whereas someone at Spurs should have gone, "Oi, mate, love you, you're the captain. You cannot speak about the club like this publicly. You have to be reprimanded in some
way, shape, or form.
Just to let everybody else in the dressing room know you're not the ones in charge here." So that feels like, I feel like there's also probably some players there who are injured to protect their own interests. Like, this was something that was pinned at Maddison in the later. Now, obviously, he's got an ACL injury now, so I'm not going to say it's this season. But this was something that was mentioned at the end of his Ange's time, was that Maddison's injury not that big of a deal, that he basically wants to protect his own personal interest, that if he's not on, and I'm not pinning this on Maddison, he's obviously got a really shit injury, but there's probably players in that dressing room who aren't as injured as they say they are, because they don't want to look like they were part of the sinking ship. So when the transfer window rolls around, they can put their hand up and go, "I was hurt all year, I had nothing to do with that." And then they'll be able to get their nice move off to like a Fiorentina or a Dortmund or a Sevilla or an Everton or something.
Yeah, you'd hate to think that's what's going on, but it's hard to, I suppose it's hard to kind of deny that, or not see that that's happening. What I can see though as well is there's probably players in that squad who are not putting in the level of effort for fear of what's happened to Romero happening to them.
Yes.
I mean, if you look at it, yeah, exactly. I mean, Xavi Simons, when he signed, I was like, this is a great sign, and I thought he was phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's been a phenomenal sign. He's been very good for the Dutch. He was at it was either Red Bull Leipzig, I think it was. He was at one of the Red Bull teams.
Leipzig.
And I again thought he was very, very good, and the sort of player who could elevate Spurs to the next level. We've seen nothing from him. Seeing absolutely nothing from him.
Nothing. But this goes back to what I was
Kolo
saying.
Muani is the same. Like, he's on the fringes of the French squad.
Don't even get me fucking started on him. I think he's one himself and Matthias Tell, I think, are these two criminally overrated players because of the academies that they came through. It's like, oh, well, this guy was PSG. Well, this guy was Bayern. It's like, well, at 22 and 23, if they're willing to get rid of him for half an out, there's a reason.
There's a reason.
There's a reason. They're either lacking between the ears, they're maybe lacking in effort. And I've seen nothing from Kolo Muani across the 3 clubs now he's been at that has said to me he's the elite striker that people have been touting him as for 5-6 years. He's not. Matthias Tell, Man United, I know we're touted for him. I think they're sitting there now going, we got
thank God for that.
Thank Christ.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Kolo Muani is David and Go, for those of us who remember him, reincarnated.
Yeah, but there's a load of these players. Like, the only one of their signings over the last year, and I know I have a little mini boner for João Palhinha, but he, at least until he got injured, his tackle numbers, his block numbers matched what he was doing when he was at Fulham.
That's what he's built for that. He's built for putting
he was doing exactly what he was bought to do.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
but the rest of the game isn't his game. He'll get the ball and give it to someone else, but if he's giving it to Simmons and Simmons is doing nothing with it, there's nothing
more he can do. Like, you can't. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. And to be fair, again, when Paulinho was signed, I was like, this is the player who's going to manage him signing on his own. If he stays fit for the year, and I said it at the start, gets them to mid-table on his own because of what he's. He did it at Fulham. He went to Bayern and had a half decent time while he was there when he wasn't injured. The only question mark around him was his injury record, and we've been proven right.
It wasn't necessarily the injury record, but what happened there was he signed. Then they changed manager while he was injured, and Joshua Kimmich, who the club were trying to move out at the time, the new manager, aka Vincent Kompany, liked
them. Yeah,
and it's Joshua fucking Kimmich. So if you were going at Barcelona, and who's in front of you? Joshua Kimmich. It's like, fair.
Yeah, fair enough. Like, absolutely.
It's like, I have to try and get my spot back on him.
Yeah. But when he signed for Spurs, we were like, great signing. The only question mark around it is his injury record. That was the only thing. And if he hadn't have been injured for most of the season, this season, I don't think we're talking about Spurs in a relegation battle. I think they're probably, up and around where Crystal Palace are, for instance. Because he'll do that. He'll gain you 4 or 5 points over the course of a season because he does the dirty stuff. So him being gone is a massive loss, but you can't put it all down.
Probably the only two fellas who I think do the dirty stuff. I really like Van de Ven I love Van de Ven as a defender, but he would be a very good defender for Liverpool, Chelsea, a team that. Not, and again, this isn't me being, but they're like James Tarkowski is a defender you want in the war.
Yeah.
But Mickey Van de Ven is, if you're a team that has more of the football and he has to make cover and runs and do that type of defending, he's perfect for that. But where Spurs are right now, he's not that profile of.
No, he's not.
Like, if Liverpool went and bought Van de Ven this summer, he's going to be the Earth Van Dijk. I don't think anybody bat an eyelid. Like, cool, keep his hamstrings on, and you've got yourself a quality,
proper baller there. Yeah, but he's he's a baller. He's not an old school defender that you want fighting in the trenches.
The biggest complaint I've had, and this is where I get my weirdness. I said at the start of the season about Man United and the goalkeeper situation, and look at the difference in them since they got Lamens.
Yep.
And y'all ridiculed me at the time, going, surely that doesn't make as much sense.
We did, to be fair.
And I think the Vicario situation is the same. The Spurs goalkeeping department. If you have a goalkeeper, like Vicario's save percentage from shots outside the box is the lowest in the Premier League for someone who's supposed to be a shot stopper, because he's not a penalty box goalkeeper. So he's on the shorter and slighter side. He's not a penalty box goalkeeper, and he's the goalkeeper who has statistically been beaten the most by distance. Now, if you are a defender in front of that, same way I said about when it was Man United with Binder, the fullbacks have to talk, and therefore you're almost by proxy, by trying to protect the goalkeeper, you're almost allowing more of it, because it's like that we have to protect this.
Yep.
Rather than getting out and getting at it, the psychology says, right, I need to protect this channel because he can't catch cross. Yeah. So it means that when a cross does come in, it's all fucking all the sirens are going off and nobody knows what to do. It's madness.
It's chaos. Yeah. But I mean, look, football is such a simple game, and it is. You're right. I mean, the mentality of players is if you don't concede a goal, you won't lose the game. That was George Graham's philosophy at Arsenal for years, as we all know.
We'll get on to them.
We'll get on to them in a second. But you're right. The whole it starts in the first 11 for Spurs. It does start at the goalkeeper, because the one thing I'll say is I'll give De Zerbi credit for. I know Vicario is injured, so we didn't have too much of a choice. But given what happened to Kinski against Atletico, could have been justified leaving him on the bench and bringing the third choice goalkeeper in. He didn't. To be fair, and that could have backfired.
And Kinski played well, apart from the goal.
He did, but you've got to give De Zerbi a bit of credit for doing that, because that wouldn't have been an easy call considering, the last 3 or 4 weeks and how much there's been fallout since the Atletico game. No. So I will give them credit for that, but I think they're done. I think they're gone.
I think they'll stay up, and solely because I think with the couple of games that they have versus what Forest have running wise, they could stay up in goal difference. I'm not saying they're staying up easily. It's a point, it's goal difference. I think the Leeds game is going to tell a lot. But to get from the lower end of North London,
the other side of North London, let's talk about them.
Sorry, I just need to have my bottle of water.
Need to get
What?
I'm loving the digs. I'm loving getting the digs in. This is brilliant.
Do you remember we said this back in January? If it was a single-digit difference come the end of January, City are winning the league. Where we're at now is City beat Palace in their game in hand. City beat Arsenal. It's level. It's that simple. And
it is.
With the pressure, City have been there. City know how to get over the line. Arsenal do not. I have a stat for you. I have a lovely little stat.
Go on. So, we know Jimmy loves his stats, but let's talk them. Come on.
So, right, Mikel Arteta's win rate in the Premier League. So he actually starts the season really well. I have month by month breakdown of their win percentages since Arteta has come into the Premier League. Right. So August, Mikel Arteta has won 65% of his games. September 72, October 62, November 55, December 56, Jan 50, February 61, March 75, April 44. Fall off. Now it goes back up to 73 in May, but they've lost.
Yeah, but sure, most of the time, May you can throw it out the window, because Arsenal, to be fair, in the last couple of seasons haven't been competing in May. So they've been
2 or 3 games,
and they've been playing teams who haven't been competing as well, probably. So,
so when the pressure comes on, Mikel Arteta caves. Now, just so this is not me giving opinion. This is just statistical fact. In April is Arsenal's statistically worst month. We've said this before about Harry Kane in September. You don't want a Harry Kane in September. You don't want Mo Salah in January, and you don't want fucking Mikel Arteta in April. 44% win rate. Now, let's pair that up to Pep Guardiola, shall we?
I'm going to hazard a guess. It's probably nearly close to double, considering how good City have been over, when it comes to later on in the season.
It is nearly double. So
I'm not surprised.
In April, Pep Guardiola's win rate is 79%. So Arteta 44, Pep 79. Now this isn't all time. This is literally since Arteta has come into the Premier League, and you can see it playing out. And I have problems here with, and I've said this before. I actually rate Arsenal's players. I really like Eze. I have a thing for Odegaard. I think he doesn't get enough credit for what he actually is. I like him. I do like Declan Rice. I do like Saliba and Gabriel. I think Raya is probably top 3 goalkeepers in the Premier League, if not top 2, arguably. There is a conversation there. Is he the best goalkeeper in the Premier League? You could argue it. I think I personally would have Donnarumma ahead of him. That's just me.
Yep.
And Alisson would be the other one. I think those are the 3 best keepers in the league, whatever order you want to take them in. So I have no problem with Arsenal's players. But what I do have a problem with is this weird management style where, since they tanked the league a couple of years ago, he's become a more, instead of going to try win a game, it's like, let's not lose a game. Yeah. And Roy Keane said this earlier in the year. And Roy Keane, as much as he gets criticised sometimes, he ends up traditionally right. He'll get pillared for his opinion at the time. It's and he tends to be right later on.
But he is right. I mean, I actually think he said it again. He said it after the game at Anfield where they lost 1-0.
Yep. 2 West burst.
And Liverpool, we won't get into it, but Liverpool have been shit this year. They've been really, really poor this year. And Arsenal could have gone there and won quite easily, to be fair to them. But they set themselves up not to lose.
Yep. Rather than to go and win the game. When they have probably man for man, them and City have the 2 best squads in the league. and I'm not even going to go into the set piece stuff, like, because I've gone on those stats before in terms of the difference between City and Arsenal in terms of set pieces. I don't like City because of their operations and the 1-1-5 potentials and stuff like that. But in terms of what football means and what football means to me, I'd rather see a team with a Xerxes. I'd rather see a team with a Xerxes, a Semenyo that wants to get at a team versus this NFL style football. And then again, look, win football games however you fucking want to win them. It's not my issue. But where Arteta lets me down is these training sessions. Have you seen the footage in the last week?
No.
They had the boys with their pens. I'll hold these end, you hold this end. Lads in groups of 4 with the pens on their fingertips and shimmying left and right with the football. And then they were doing a training session the other day with a big inflatable screen with TikTok edits on it. But the 2 days before the Bournemouth game. So we can be in the space. And then he referenced this thing of bring your dinner, bring your lunch, let's make the stadium into something. And the Arsenal fans, go fuck yourselves. Leave in the stadium 5 minutes to the end when you're in a title hunt. Stay there, back your team. But a lot of stadium fans in the stadium were even saying that the football's too boring. We knew we weren't going to do it, so I left. Fine, I get that. The football's boring. It's putting me to sleep. I can't get up and go screaming and shouting for a team that are putting me actively to sleep. But again, if you're a fan and you're chasing your first Premier League title in over 20 years, stay. Help
with your team.
What Liverpool are great
Stick
at.
with your team.
Man United are great at. Fergie time was a thing. Liverpool have history of late winners and late equalisers. That fan base behind the goal, like the Stretford end, the Kop end, you can suck the ball almost into the back of the net with just. And Arsenal don't have that, and I feel like over the last 18 months, that connection to the whatever about the wild west of the internet, because there's some absolute weapons in their fan base on the internet. I'm talking about match-going fans, the dedicated fans, and they're like, I don't get it.
I think there's a little bit in that kind of stadium impact for Arsenal at home. So I mean, if we're talking about Arsenal being, bottlers because of the way Arteta sets them up and whatnot, you seen it at the Bournemouth game. You did see it at, like, the Bournemouth game statistically. And if Jimmy was here, I'm sure he'd love to hear this. It was their second worst expected goals return in a game in Premier League history at the weekend. Their XG at the weekend, which I don't put a whole hell of a lot of weight on, but ultimately it's still a stat that you can measure. It was 0.19. There's only been one game in Premier League history where they've had lower. Don't ask me what it was, but you don't win titles like that. And I think they've lost a little bit the whole thing of the Emirates, being a fortress and all that. I actually think they've lost that since they moved from Highbury. Highbury, if you remember, was this stadium where you were so enclosed in. It was proper old school. There was noise. It was aggressive, and I loved that about Highbury. Highbury was one of the stadiums I feared Liverpool going to as a fan.
I don't even know, because I have another little trend for you, because I'm all about the numbers tonight. I'm taking over. Honestly, look, I'm more of our tactical fucking. I don't know, because I have the coaching. I'm doing my coaching badges, and I do a little coaching. I love the tactical side, but a little bit of layering tactics and data with you. So, Manchester United and Man City both beat Arsenal playing the same way. Row of 4 across the midfield, do not engage the backline. Let their 4 defenders and David Raya have the football, and they can't pass through the channels because they don't have a midfielder who can step between the lines and turn. Now, I did hear a very interesting thing from Kyle Walker during the week in an interview he did. I think it was with Gary Neville, and he was saying Pep Guardiola didn't like players turning on the football. He'd rather them let the ball run past them. It's an extra touch. So rather than turning on the football, he wants them playing it back and moving into space so that they can get it when they're already in motion. That way, the momentum and extra space is created and stuff like this. So what I also don't have is that midfielder. And I know I'm going to get pelters. Declan Rice will do it, and Zubimendi. They statistically don't, and visually wise, they don't. They'll get between the lines, and when a team wants to press, they're very good at finding the space when the midfielder goes to press. Because when teams play with a 4-3-3 most of the time now, it's the third midfielder is to go and engage the second centre back, which leaves a gap for one of those two midfielders to become free to then start the play. So what they're good at is they suck it around between the two fullbacks and one of the centre backs and back to Raya, and they get one of the extra midfielders to engage, which frees up Declan Rice or Zubimendi, and then they can start to play. What Michael Carrick did was he kept a line of 4. So I think it was the day they played in Buemo. So it ended up being Ahmed, Bruno, Mbuemo, and Cunha in a line of 4, who just basically went, when you're defending,
sat there,
find your pass. And there's nobody who can find that. Man City did it to wonderful effect in the second half against Arsenal in the Carabao Cup, where Semenyo, Doku, and Haaland went alongside, who was it that day? Bernardo Silva. And every time Gabriel got the ball, they just fucked off. They fucked off and held their line and went, find the pass. Now, what did Bournemouth do? The exact same
thing.
Fucking thing. So passes. Declan Rice, most passes for Arsenal with 50. David Raya, 49. Gabriel, 40. Ben White, 40. So their highest 5 passers are their back 4 and their goalkeeper. Which means, and it was actually, do you know who was the one who highlighted this of all players? Yannick Bolasie, for those who don't know, used to play for Crystal Palace. He was the one who flagged this on his sub. I think he might be an Arsenal fan. He was like, why do our defenders take the risks and our attackers don't? Why do the Arsenal defenders take the risks with passing and the attackers don't? You're seeing these trends where it's Ben White can get the ball and try find the pass, but when Saka gets the ball, it's like he has to go this way, or when Martinelli gets the ball, he has to go this way. Or you're not seeing Zubimendi with the high pass numbers. You're not seeing Odegaard with the high pass numbers. You're not seeing Eze with the high. Like if you watch Man United tonight against Leeds, it's going to be Bruno Fernandes. It's going to be Bruno Fernandes. Just it is. If you see Chelsea, it's going to be Bernardo Silva.
But that's a coaching thing.
Yeah, it's coaching.
That's absolutely a coaching thing.
100%.
And a coaching / recruitment thing. I mean, there is a player in that Arsenal squad who is able to do what Fernandes does or Cherky does for City, and it's Odegaard. You've mentioned it. Odegaard is class, but he's been injured the last 2 seasons. So if you have a player who can unlock the defense like that and he's injured, what do? You go out and you get somebody who can sit in that.
Who's played more football, Saka or Odegaard?
I don't know. Probably Odegaard, actually.
By a lot.
Yeah.
But there's this argument that Saka is overplayed and Odegaard is protecting himself for Norway. But when you actually look at the numbers, and they'll say Saka was injured, so is Odegaard. But no, Odegaard has actually played more than Saka. So it's not this. But what it is there's this sub and rotation thing. And that's very hard for a player like that to get into that. And this is the psychology side of it. A player like that needs almost, it's like getting into their flow state. You don't take Bruno off. You don't take Bernardo Silva off. Chelsea don't.
No, there's a momentum argument to be had there. You have to have the momentum as a player.
If they have to, these players are the ones where it's like, I back you. I know you're going to be the guy to do something, and you just let them, and eventually
they will.
And eventually
they'll make something happen.
Well, if you have a year of going, I know at 60 minutes if I have whether I've got a goal or assist, I'm coming off anyway.
But there's also a piece of, if you know you're coming off at 60 minutes, do you grow yourself full-hearted into that 60 minutes? And are you more likely to get injured in that 60 minutes? Are you putting yourself out there more to try and stay on the pitch for longer?
There is a possibility.
But this is the psychology of it. You get into the psychology of it this way, and you don't know which way. But ultimately, either way, if you are a player, you're right. That, if you're a player who knows you're coming off at 60, 65 minutes, you're either overexerting yourself or you're kind of like, well, I'm coming off at 65, why would I be bothered?
When I still played before I went into the coaching side, before my hip fell off, if I knew, and this was something in my last 2 years playing, because I was having the problems with my back and hips, the manager would go, give me everything you had for 60. And that started actually grating going. And then because you're actually trying to do something, it's like, I'll fucking prove a point to you. Yeah. Fuck you, I'm going to prove a point. So you start making a silly pass here, or it's like, I need to do something to prove my point. And it's the same way you see subs sometimes. A good substitute comes on and just does something. A bad substitute, prime example was Gerrard under Brendan Rodgers with the red card. He was so hyped to try prove his point that he ended up going straight back down to the dressing room.
Yeah, you're trying to force something and it causes mistakes or injuries or both.
Or both. And like, I think Arsenal are actually, like, I know you're saying that Spurs are going to get relegated. I actually think Arsenal are going not that Man City are going to win the league, but Arsenal are going to find a way to lose the league.
Well, yeah, I think, look, the table says they're what, 6 points ahead at the moment, and City have a game in hand.
It's Palace.
Like that. So we know that Palace and City have a bit of a history, and Palace have a history of knocking them off when they want to. But Palace have not been great this year. Let's be honest about it. City are starting to hit their stride now as well. Ever since that cup final, they're just starting to. You got to remember, City are playing for a domestic treble now.
Not bad for a shit season, right?
Not bad for a shit season. They recruited exceptionally well in January as well. You got to remember
this. We said this, and we got ridiculed
and
at the time.
Were super signings, whereas Arteta has built a nearly team. Let's be straight about it. He has. City have recruited and strengthened, and they've been there, done that, and have all the t-shirts in the wardrobe you can ever want to wear. So,
imagine a player like Semenyo coming into Pep, and Semenyo for me is Semenyo and Gahey were the keys. Gahey is their next captain, to be honest with you. But the Semenyo one, when traditionally wingers have struggled to get up and running with a Pep system, imagine being like the first winger that comes to a Pep thing and he goes, buddy, fucking, it's Mr. Bossman, what do I need to do? How do I play Pep ball? He's like, you fucking don't. Whatever you're doing, you continue
just keep doing it.
And it's the complete opposite of what I'm saying with Odegaard having the creativity coached out of him, because it happened with Grealish at City. And I think the Grealish at City thing, I think actually made Pep a better manager in the long term, because he knows these type of talents need something different. Like, not everybody's Messi who can leave completely off the leash, but there's a middle ground between ultimate structure. Like, look at Ryan Jerky. Yeah. Like, earlier in the season, he was brilliant. Then he had a pocket where it was like he had to fit the mold. And then it's almost since Semenyo's come in, he's like, actually, if I have two of these guys who can do things, maybe I should just let them. And it works.
Build a structure behind them to protect what you and let the creative footballers play football.
And it works.
It
works.
It absolutely works. And this is the scary thing if you're an Arsenal fan. We go back to the whole thing of 6 points ahead and City only have a game in hand. City win their game in hand, or City win this weekend at the Etihad. And let's, a bit of history. I don't think Arsenal have won there in 5 seasons.
Yep.
So, like, the form,
and this actually tells you our preview nicely.
Say again.
This gets us into our preview nicely
because gets into yeah. But looking at if you look at the form, City are the ones on form. Arsenal haven't looked the same since the February game against Wolves.
No.
Right. City have beaten them recently in the EFL Cup final, and beat them pretty well. I know it was only a 2-0 win, but they never looked under any major pressure, particularly in that second half when they figured out how to beat them. Arsenal have lost 3 games in 4 in all competitions. Their last 3 in 4, they've gone from competing for a quadruple to hanging on for the Premier League and an FA Cup. Sorry, no, they're out of the FA Cup now. So Champions League they're still in, rather. And even at that, Sporting will fancy their chances in London next week, or this week rather. So they're going there fragile.
Yeah.
They're going there very, very fragile. They're going there as a team who haven't won anything.
And if City win their double game week game against Burnley,
all of a sudden, then that's pressure. And I don't think an Arteta team deals with pressure very, very well. Whereas I've said City are there, they've done it, they've historically are very, very good, and your stats prove it from here until the end of the season. Arsenal need to be perfect. City just need to be City.
By Wednesday, we could be looking at goal difference separating the two teams.
And City's goal difference. Yeah. As I said, Arsenal need to, between now and the end of the season, Arsenal need to be perfect. City need to be City. I know who I'm backing.
I know who I'm backing too. So I think that gets us very... So Arsenal fans who've been giving everybody pelters for a year online, hopefully y'all learn. You don't... What's the saying about, roosters and hatching or something? I don't know. Don't eggs. eggs in baskets. Don't throw fucking stones at people until you've got a piece of silver in the trophy, because your trophy cabinet is going to be as empty. And just for one piece of final context, if Arsenal do inevitably win fuck all this season, I will see Mikel Arteta in the Dole office, because 6 years with less trophies than Ten Hag, the same amount of trophies as Glasner, the same amount of trophies as Ange Postecoglou, the same amount of trophies as Eddie Howe. 3 of the 4 of those are out of jobs. David Moyes has trophies in that time frame. I can keep going. And the last time Mikel Arteta won a trophy, his centre forward was Aubameyang. So, as far as I'm concerned, he's an overrated manager with a world-class team.
I'd have to agree with that. I can't argue with that at all. And I think, look, if they don't win the Premier League, and I don't think they'll win the Premier League, for all the reasons that we've spoken about, I think Arteta has to go, because they need to bring in somebody who is a serial winner. Somebody, and I'm not suggesting Mourinho, but somebody in that mould who'll go in there. I actually think someone like an Ancelotti. I know we won't, because he's doing this whole Brazil project right now, but someone in that mould who can go in there and has been there, done it, will turn that. And that's a scary proposition for Arsenal if they do.
Someone who played front, what the footballer Mikel Arteta played 4 years ago. If they went in with the current squad that he has, if he played the football he was playing 4 years ago, before he got scared by losing that league in that circumstances, they'd be fucking terrifying. But he's been scarred by the damage of the past, and I think they're going to need someone who can come in with front foot ideals. Now they might prove us all wrong, and actually, but if they get over the line now, they're going to win.
But they'll scrape over the line. If they get over the line now, they're going to scrape over the line.
Yeah.
And considering where they were at the turn of the year, you still got to ask questions, right?
I think so. I think
you still got to ask questions. I mean, there's no Arsenal fan out there who's going to sit there and tell me that they're feeling comfortable and feeling confident. And if they are, they're lying to us, or they're delusional.
We know the Arsenal fans. According to that, if it's the Arsenal fan base online, we know it's delusional.
Well, we know it's delusional, but any fan sitting there in January with a 12-point lead, you're sitting there going, "Oh yeah, I'm actually liking this. I'm actually, I'm confident. We're playing well, so on." And now it's April, and you're talking about a team like City who are breathing down your neck.
But imagine being a team at the top of the list.
Questions have to be asked.
But we all saw this then, and it was like, if you just let their backline have the ball, they don't know what to do. And it's mad to me. But anyway, that'll bring us on to our preview, because we could be looking at the table being level by mid next week. So if we were to let's rattle off the pictures. So we have 6 teams in a double game week next week. So if you're playing either Stat or Fantasy, week 33 and week 33 to week 35 is where you're either going to win or lose your league. Next week is one of the last 2 double game weeks, and it's City, it's Chelsea, it's Brighton, it's Burnley, it's Leeds, and Bournemouth. Now, what you also need to note is that week 34, none of those teams play because of FA Cup quarterfinals. So those teams are all playing doubles. So in terms of doubles, we've got Man City, who play Brentford and Palace, 6 points, you'd think. Chelsea are playing Man United and Brighton. Could be 6 points, could be 4 points, could be 0 points. You have Brighton, who'll play Spurs and Chelsea. Burnley, who play Forest and City and could be relegated by then. Leeds, who play Wolves and Bournemouth, so they could either be still in the mist or clear of it by then. And Bournemouth play Newcastle and Leeds. So those are your doubles. Right. So let's just go match to match, because I think we know where we're. If I'm saying anything, I'm saying you want to stack at City. I think you want to stack at City. And maybe Bournemouth. But yeah. I'm
kind of thinking City, Bournemouth is probably your top 2. Brighton are top of the form table at the moment in the last 6 games, if I'm right.
Spurs and Chelsea are 2 tough games for them. Spurs away is a long trip.
Spurs away is a long enough trip, but again, you would think, considering everything we've spoken about earlier on, that's a win for them. So I'm looking at their defenders. I'm looking at Kadioglu at left back and the right back who scored at the weekend, and I can't remember his name.
Oh, bollocks. Well, that's not his name.
Live podcast. It's fantastic. It's a great concept. But when this shit happens, you're kind of, hang on, and I will find out. But I'm looking at Brighton defenders. Mats Weaver.
That's the one. Obviously, if you're I'm looking at the doubles. City with Brentford and Palace. Stack at City. Get yourself a bit of Semenyo. Get yourself a bit of Gahey. Get yourself a bit of Doku or Haaland. So I can't believe I didn't say Haaland there. But any of those four, I think you go for. Any disagreements there?
No disagreements there. Nico O'Reilly. I said it last
obviously.
week. I said it last week, and I'll say it again. If you don't have him, why?
He's probably City's Player of the Year this year.
Oh yeah, well he'll go close anyway. But he's what is he? 21, 22? He's young enough. I think he's played himself into contention in the World Cup squad. I think he absolutely has to be considered as City's Player of the Year and possibly Young Player of the Year overall. He's been phenomenal. He really, really has.
And City's two fixtures in the double game week say stack. They say stack. Bournemouth, Newcastle away, and Leeds at home. I think Bournemouth are the other team you stack.
I think so. I think Ryan will have a field day against Leeds at home.
Look right for him, doesn't it?
Say again.
It's a kind of fixture that looks about right for him. And
it does. Yeah, kind of just that sort of flair that he has. You could make the argument he'll do the same up at St James's Park against Newcastle as well at the weekend. Like you could, but I think you're looking at him. I think you're probably looking at Christie in the middle as well for Bournemouth. But there's a couple of different options there. I think that are.
Scott seems to have hit a run of a stride of form, so maybe him. But definitely City, definitely Bournemouth, Burnley leaving the fuck alone. Chelsea, given the two fixtures that they have, it's Man United, it's Brighton, so the only two options there are probably Pedro and Palmer, and I would leave everything else alone.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think you're looking at anyone in the back line because there's a lot of rotation going on there as well.
A lot of injuries. Sanchez is a no-go. Midfield, God only knows what.
I think you've just got to look at Porro and Pedro, or not, sorry, Porro, sorry, crikey, Pedro and Palmer. Pedro and Palmer. And if Caicedo is floating around your league and or somebody has dropped him, then I think you might pick him up. But yeah.
Whatever.
Because he's going to play. That's the only reason. He's going to play with the whole Enzo situation.
Leeds have Wolves and Bournemouth, so Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
It's probably just DCL. I'm kind of trying to think. I mean, I'm looking to see what the lineups are for tonight.
Rodon is injured. Stash is out. So those would have been my next ones. So unless you're looking at Goodmanson, maybe.
You're probably looking at Goodmanson, possibly Aronson as well. But I think you're.
I wouldn't be pinning my double game week on those.
No, I wouldn't be. I actually wouldn't be pinning a double game week on anybody at Leeds right now. To be honest with you, if you've got a striker problem, then absolutely look at DCL. That's fine.
That one.
Yeah, I wouldn't be dropping players to bring. I wouldn't be dropping players to bring a Leeds player in.
No, not in look. Double game weeks are great, but I wouldn't be leaning my double game week on Burnley Leeds. I probably wouldn't lean my double game week on Brighton either, even though Kadioglu and we've heard two good options. Welbeck, good option. Pascal Gross, decent option. But I wouldn't go pinning my double game week on any of those. It would be Man City, Bournemouth,
with a bit of Bournemouth sprinkled in,
and maybe Chelsea, the two key Chelsea attackers. They'll concede goals, but they'll score. So I think that's the double game week. But let's go into our business as usual fixtures. We've got a huge game for the early kickoff on Saturday. West London derby, Brentford, Fulham. Both teams competing for European spots. If Fulham win, they actually go level with Brentford in 7th. If they lose, they go 6 points away from them. Fulham's chances of European football are finished, and Brentford are solidifying their position in 7th. So it's a huge game. I don't know which way I'm going to lean on the result. I'm probably too close to it. But asset-wise, I am saying it's Igor Thiago, who has broken Brentford's single-season goal-scoring record held by Mbeumo, and Harry Wilson. Those are the two.
Yeah, I think they're the two. Given his form all year, you've got to look at Kelleher if you've got a goalkeeping problem. But yeah, outside of that, I think there's an argument could be made for Shadi. There is an argument for him there as well. I think him and Thiago played quite well together this year. For Fulham, and I watched the game at the weekend. It's all about Harry Wilson. It's all about Harry Wilson, isn't it?
It will be, but he'll be busy doing everything else. So, like, again, in our system, if you're playing a Saturday system, absolutely, Iwobi is busy and he'll do a lot of bits of everything, but his job at the moment seems to be do bits of everything. But it was a shit game of football, and I wouldn't take that as your rule of thumb.
No, I wouldn't be using that as the benchmark. Absolutely not.
But Harry Wilson, if anything's going to happen there.
If anything's going to happen, yeah.
It's going to be Harry Wilson. Leeds, Wolves, I know we talked about Leeds. Is there anything from Wolves? No.
If outside, so say you could make the same argument for some Wolves players as you did about for Iwobi just there. You know, do you look at Joe Gomez in the middle because he's going to be picking up points for tackles made and passes and all that kind of stuff? Possibly, but again, I'm not dropping anybody to bring him in.
Yeah.
I think you avoid Wolves as much as you possibly can until they play Spurs in 2 weeks' time. And if they're fighting for their lives, then you look at them. And actually, I've spoken about that in an article, so we can mention that at a later stage. But yeah, for now, Wolves, no, stay away.
I would agree with that. Newcastle, Bournemouth. I know Bournemouth. Newcastle, Bournemouth.
Outside bet on this is your man Asula, who scored at the weekend. If you've got a striker problem, have a look at him. He could be an outsider. But other than that, you're certainly avoiding Newcastle defenders right now because they seem to be leaking goals left, right, and centre.
As much as I like Malik Theo, this isn't the picture where Bournemouth aren't the team who are putting balls in box. So I wouldn't be looking at it. I would agree with that. We've already talked about the Bournemouth lads, Nielsen, Ryan, etc., etc. Spurs, Brighton.
Avoid Spurs players like the plague.
Yeah. Chelsea, Manchester United, 8 o'clock on Saturday night.
This is an interesting one. I mean, like the team for tonight for United, which has just kicked off. Ugarte is back in the team. Casemiro and Ugarte in the middle is a strange one. And I don't know whether that's just that they're shaping up for war because it's Leeds or what.
Mainu is out.
Mainu's out, but Mbeumo's on the bench. It's Diallo, Cunha, Fernandes behind Sesko. Like it's kind of tough to gauge who plays in that kind of front four for United. So you're taking it from outside of Bruno. You're probably taking a punt that somebody may not play and may sit on the bench because I'd be looking at that Leeds game tonight and I would have said Mbeumo is a good shout for a start. And
Mbeumo was no goals in 7.
Yeah, but against the Leeds team who at home.
No, he'll probably come on tonight and score kind of vibe.
Yeah, that's the thing. I would have thought he'd be the sort of player you'd play in a game like this to try and
the one I'm saying to pick for that game. Harry Maguire. He's suspended tonight, so he's under the radar. He'll be a nice pickup in FPL for the cheap. He has signed his new contract. He made a ballsy interview during the week, and I'm all here for it. I'm probably one of the best defenders in the world in both boxes, and I fucking agree with that. And he is going to be fighting tooth and nail for that place. I think Tuchel knew exactly what he was saying with those comments in the press.
Yeah.
You want to play somebody? Yeah, so Maguire.
I think that's a fair shout, and there's no better team to do it against than Chelsea because that's going to be prime time, 8 o'clock on Saturday. It's going to be live on one of the big sports channels. Go make a name for yourself, Harry, and get yourself a seat in the plane. Great show.
I think so. That'd be my call on that. Villa Sunderland, Villa home, Sunderland away.
This is a bit of a dead rubber because Villa have kind of fallen off the edge of a cliff.
I don't think doesn't it?
Yeah, kind of does. Sunderland, to be fair, like they didn't look great at the weekend, but they did enough. But that was at home, so I think you've got to consider Villa assets if you're looking at anything. It's probably John McGinn, it's probably Ollie Watkins, Morgan Rogers, the usual suspects. I'm struggling to see if there's an outlier at Villa to kind of look at, kind of that outsider that you're considering that nobody else has, but I'm looking at it going probably not. Maybe someone like Pau Torres at the back because Sunderland are not great on the road, and I know they won at the weekend, but didn't before that. They hadn't actually.
What I would recommend there is have a look at what the extent of Emi Martinez's injury is. I don't think Sunderland away are going to cause Aston Villa a lot of problems in front of goal. So if Emi Martinez is out, nobody has Marco Bizzo. So he could be a nice little sleeper pick.
Yeah,
if Martinez is out, he could be a nice little sleeper pick.
Yeah, Absolutely.
The game, Gary, that's going to break your heart. Everton Liverpool, the Merseyside derby, the first one at the Hill Dickinson.
Yeah.
I think there's a red card in there somewhere.
I don't know. I don't, and if there is, I think it's for Everton. Like
their new stadium, it screams it.
Yeah, but I don't like. I mean, I'm looking at that going. I don't think Liverpool will have the heart for this game. I really don't.
Do you know what? I agree with that, but
do
you know what I will say? Mo Salah in his last Merseyside derby before in Everton's new stadium before he trots off into the sunset. That's the one for me.
I think that's a good. Yeah, look, I wouldn't be looking at a Liverpool asset until we see what happens tomorrow night.
Fair, but Merseyside derby.
I would have to agree with you.
Everton's new stadium. There's just a piece of the puzzle that says to me, Mo Salah fills his boots and fucks off the Everton.
The big but behind that is Mo Salah. Last Merseyside derby. Go make a name for yourself. Can't really. Yeah, fine. I'm on board with that.
Narrative tonight is the vibe.
I am on board with that. I have to say, you could make the same argument just before we move on to Forest Burnley. You could make the same argument for Isak.
You could also make the same argument for James Tarkowski. You can make this.
No, because they've played Merseyside derbies before. This will be Isak's first one, Salah's last one. If you're looking for a nostalgic pick and that fairy tale story,
Isak's not a bad shout. Depending on what happens tomorrow.
Depending on what happens tomorrow night,
he could be one of those that nobody's going to have him. Nobody's going to pick him. But you know what? That's a dirty little pick that I like.
It's a ballsy pick. It is a ballsy
see the
pick.
Team sheet tomorrow and see because I have Ekitike in my FPL team.
Drop him like a bad habit.
And oh fucking hell, Leeds are 1-0 up 4 minutes in.
Bad news
I'm not
for
joking.
Spurs
Leeds
fans.
are 1-0 up. They just scored. Anyway, moving on because we're obviously recording on a Monday night. Man City Arsenal. We talked about that already. I think
we've spoken about it. Yeah, I think it's
Palace West Ham.
I think you look at West Ham assets here.
Yeah,
I think West Ham have finally decided that they don't want to play Championship football next season. And you look at them. I think it's Castellanos, isn't it?
It is. It's Castellanos, Somerville, and if it's not either of them, it's Mavropanos in that order.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. I think possibly I've a bit of a graw for Jimmy's picks during the week of Thomas Souček. He's going to be there doing the dirty stuff. Fernandes I'd leave off because he was booked and was subs at the weekend. But yeah, if you're looking at anyone else, it's probably Souček.
Yeah. Other than Brighton Chelsea, we talked about that. Bournemouth Leeds, we talked about that, and the last one is Burnley City. So I think we actually covered all of these.
I think we've covered everybody there.
It's a double game.
Stock up on Man City, avoid Spurs like the plague, and pray for my heart at the weekend for the Merseyside derby.
That it? Gary has a wonderful article up on the site now. I won't actually drop you in the ship by making you do the outro like last time. What's called? So we have this lovely little.
To be fair, I think I did quite a good outro just there.
I just didn't. I dropped you in it with like no notice. But no, Gary's got this wonderful article, kind of detailing what he was talking about in the Spurs side. That's up on the website now. So go give that a read. I have a couple of little articles I'm working on. I won't talk about them yet, but I want you to have a look at them during the week as they come through. We're building this lovely little community over on TikTok. We do a live every weekend during the key matches. Oh, I thought that was nearly two. We do a lovely live every week during the key matches. We have a bunch of great guys and gals who come in. So if you're interested in having good chats about football, come in to the TikTok lives during the weekend. We're obviously on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on all socials. But if you want to find the articles, they're available on StatrDraft.com, StatOrDraft.com. That's it from the boys for tonight.
That's it, lads.
Didn't think we'd talk that much about North London, but anyway, peace out, family.
Take it easy, guys.